Yeah, you know.
Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the Town of Pelham Council for Tuesday, February 16th, 2016, to order. We will begin with a singing of the national anthem, and I would ask all who are able to rise, and Councillor Papp to lead us.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patron of, in all thy Son's command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Drop something there. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Papp. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We'll now move to the business at hand. It has been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, that the agenda for the February 16th, 2016 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. We do have an amendment to that, and I believe it's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, that we wanted to add the report by Regional Councillor Beatty, which was provided over the weekend. To that amendment, all those in favor? Any opposed? That amendment carries. Are there any other items to be added to the agenda? Councillor Kersey, you had a motion that you wanted to support and endorse. It's on the consent agenda. Does that need, Madam Clerk, does that need to be added?
Through Mr. Mayor, that could be lifted as a separate item on the consent agenda.
Okay.
That was my intention, Mr. Mayor, was to lift it.
Okay, thank you. And then there were some items, I'm not sure that they were circulated. They weren't included in the mayor's report, but we'll be sure to circulate them and include them in the minutes. One was an information regarding the Niagara Central Dorothy Rungeling Airport, that presentation, and then the other presentation from the students of St. Alexander's School. So that's been, I think, added to the agendas. It's not, it's more for information for the community, so those are there as well. Okay, so we're ready for the calling of the amended agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest that members of council may have. Do any members have any conflicts?
Mr. Mayor.
No.
There are no conflicts. Can that be recorded in the minutes? Thank you. Now we'll move to presentations, delegations. We have a delegation, and it's Lynn Taylor and company, and I hope you can introduce everybody that's with you regarding the Pelham Syrian Refugee Constituent Group, a grassroots group. We do have a podium here, and please join us, and we also have your PowerPoint, I think, loaded and ready to go. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. We appreciate very much the opportunities to speak with you this evening. My name is Lynn Taylor, and I am the co-chair of the Pelham Syrian Refugee Constituent Group, which is quite a mouthful. And I have with me this evening Keith Ray, who is the chair of our Fundraising and Communications Committee, and also Wendy, sorry, Wendy, I have to look at your last name. Wendy Varmeyer, thank you, from the Bethany Christian Reformed Church. We have the pastor, Colin, from the church with us, and we also have Ralph Waters, who's part of the committee.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Together, we represent a group of Pelham citizens motivated by our common concern for the plight of the Syrian refugees who are looking for a safe home. This is the greatest and worst humanitarian crisis in the world today. More than 12 million people have been impacted by this war that is going on, the civil war going on in Syria. That's more than half of the population of their pre-war country. 12 million people is greater than the Hurricane Katrina, the earthquake in Haiti, and the tsunami in the Indian Ocean, all combined. 4.6 million of those people are refugees. Half of those are children. Our group is comprised of members of 4 local churches and citizens with no church affiliation. This is indeed a community effort. The group was first formed in December 2015. To sponsor the relocation of 2 Syrian refugee families is our goal in either Pelham or the broader Niagara region, wherever their needs can best be met. This means their need for transportation, their needs for education where English as a second language can be offered, medical issues that they may have, and employment. For 2 families, we need to raise $50,000. Now, the date of May 15th, 2016 is an arbitrary date. The sooner the better. To support 1 family, we require approximately $25,000 and $50,000 for 2 families. This amount will vary, and we say approximately because it depends on the size of the family that we support. We're looking to support families of between 5 and 7 members. These are the most difficult families to relocate. So how are we going to do this? First of all, we're working through the United Church of Canada because they are already sponsorship agreement holders with the federal government. They have also a very successful track record in this area. We've formed a constituent group which has grown to 12 people now. And each person, this group has a very diverse background, and this group is working diligently to organize the effort. We have commitments from 39 other members of the community to support this endeavor, and there are some local businesses that have also offered their support. Offers of household goods, storage while we're collecting gifts in kind and items of clothing, and also in collecting donations on our behalf. We have now signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Montreal United Church outlining the roles and responsibilities and oversight requirements, and this is to comply with the Canada Revenue Agency requirements. Each church has also signed an official resolution providing their support, and this too is a Revenue Canada requirement. We're using the Citizenship and Immigration Canada Refugee Sponsorship Training material, and we're making sure that we comply with all of the requirements for all of the constituents. The process that we're going through is called a Blended Visa Office Referral Program. That shares the costs with the federal government. We are responsible for 6 months of living expenses plus the startup costs. The government is responsible for the other 6 months for each family. We've also had discussions with the Welland Heritage Council and Multicultural Centre, and we'll use their services and others of this nature, such as the Niagara Folks Arts Multicultural Centre, moving forward. Royal Bank has agreed to accept donations at their branches in both Fonthill and Fenwick, and we're in discussion with other banks. We're just working out the process that we're going to set up with them. We will also approach local businesses and service clubs looking for support. We'll initiate community fundraisers, and we'll communicate with the community at large, seeking their support, their financial support, gifts in kind, and volunteer support. We've had our first press release that was held last Thursday. There was an article in the Welland Tribune that you may have seen on Friday outlining what we're doing, and we expect that the 2 Pelham publications will have articles this week. So what do we need from you? We're asking for your endorsement of our efforts. This would go a long way in gaining support in the community. We're also asking for a donation of $1,000 to help fund our initiative. And we're also asking for your help in collecting donations. By this, we mean maybe accepting donations in the town hall on behalf of the constituent group. We would be happy to work with your staff to set something up that would be a process that would be effective for all parties. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're doing. And we thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for outlining the rationale for what you're doing and what you are doing. And I commend you on behalf of council for your efforts. Do members of council have any questions for our presenters? Councillor Ribiak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, just a question with regard to timing. If you had everything you wanted, when would people start to arrive?
That's hard to say. They could arrive as early as 4 weeks from the time that we had the funds available, and it could take 4 to 6 months. It depends on their readiness to travel. It depends on how many refugees are already here in Canada waiting for placement. There are a number of groups cross-country, as you know, who are taking in refugees, and so it depends on the status.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? When you have your request here, so you're suggesting about help in collecting donations of financial nature. That wouldn't be for tax receipts, would it? The tax receipts are going through the church, is that
That's
correct?
right. All checks will be made payable to Fonthill United Church, which is a requirement of the CRA.
Okay.
And on the re-line, they would have the Pelham Syrian Refugee Constituent Group.
Okay,
And tax receipts will be issued by Fonthill United Church. All of the churches involved will issue their own tax receipts. And we have also said in our press release that if people want to donate online, you could go on to the Fonthill United Church website and go on to Canada Helps. And Canada Helps is a way to make donations online.
thank you. That's a separate charity through which you can make
It is.
gifts to
And
charities.
it supports a lot of different charitable organizations.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. So this would be similar to what a bank does. It's saying, set aside a spot here, we'll collect the donations, put them in the safe, and then whenever you come around, a representative would come and say, hey, I'm here to pick up the donations.
Right. Royal Bank has opened up an account, so anyone who goes into the 2 Royal Bank branches will be able to deposit directly
Okay.
into the account. But the other banks that will be collecting, and if you would agree to do this at the town hall, would be taking the deposits, taking the checks or cash, holding them, and issuing a temporary receipt. And we have those already done up in duplicate. And all it says is who gives us the information that we would need to issue the tax receipt.
Right, okay, good, thank you. Any other questions? So thank you very much for the presentation. I do have a motion, and it has been moved by Councillor Ribiak, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the information presented by the Pelham Syrian Refugee Constituent Group today be received. The group is looking for a little bit more. Maybe if you could just leave that screen up, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder whether it would be in order and whether we would find seconders for, I think it would probably be 3 separate amendments to that, one for each of the elements that are being requested. And certainly I'd be prepared to move that we, in addition to receive, endorse the effort. And I think a second motion would be a second amendment would be required with regard to the donation. And of course, a third amendment providing that the town should provide assistance.
Okay.
As requested. So those would be 3. I don't know how we would go about
You could put them
procedurally to
all
do it.
together, or you could separate them in 3, depending on colleagues' wishes. So you could try them all together. You could.
Let's try them all together and see whether they need
There's a
separating for
seconder
discussion.
that.
So I would move that if there's a seconder.
There's a seconder. Councillor Papp, you'll second that. Thank you. Discussion to that, Councillor Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the amount of donation needs to be handled as a separate item. I see that as similar to a permissive grant, and a permissive grant has a certain protocol that needs to be followed and criteria that needs to be followed. So, I would suggest that the second part of it be taken apart. The first 2, if staff is okay with setting up a place to collect it, we have no problem. Perhaps it should be referred to staff to see if, in fact, staff is available and these things are there. So maybe the best thing to do, if in fact this doesn't have to be decided upon tonight, send it back to staff and bring it back at our next meeting, and with a recommendation from staff on this, because like I said, we do have certain protocols in place, and some of this doesn't follow that protocol, and I have a bit of concern with that. So.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Durley, you're suggesting we refer it to staff, come back at our March 7th meeting, unless the treasurer is able to answer. You're not able to answer that this evening?
No.
Okay. So is that a motion that you're suggesting?
We do have a motion on the floor. I don't think, can I make a motion over top of that motion?
It would be in order to
if in fact
refer
I
it to
can, I
staff
would
and bring
like
it
to,
back.
I would like to make that motion, because there's, like I say, there's protocols that we're not following if we deal with this, in one fell swoop this evening. So.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Kersey, thank you very much. I do want to, certainly council can do that. I'm just going to speak to it and remind colleagues and staff when they come back, if this gets approved, that we did give $1,000 in the fall, and that was a previous budget year. That wasn't done through permissive grants. So I would see this similar to that. We use that to match the regional dollars. So it may be a different beast than a permissive grant. So I would add that and ask that if council approves this referral, that would be included in as one of the options. So anything else in terms of the instructions to the referral? We ready to call the question, Councillor Riviac?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarity, so what we're asking with this amendment to the amendment is that the issue with regard to help collecting donations is referred to staff, or is there more to that?
The entire
entire-
thing, and I guess the whole issue, really.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll come back on March 7th.
Okay.
So I'm going to call the question on the referral. All those in favor? Any opposed? So that will be referred, and will come back to us on March 7th, and we encourage you to work with staff. I presume, Mr. CEO, who's going to be the point person? Will the treasurer be the point person on that?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
So Ms. Pupel will be the point person on that. Okay, so thank you very much for the presentation, and we'll have something back to council on March 7th. Thanks again for your efforts. Councillor Beatty, you are next, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council and staff, and I thank the clerk and council for accepting my report. I missed on the calendar in terms of not seeing a Monday council meeting. I thought I was another week out, so thank you for receiving the report. It is a fairly short report, in that some of the committees did not have a meeting or they didn't have reports. Just one I want to comment on tonight. I'll answer any other questions you have, and it's to clarify. It deals with the Planning and Development Committee, where it says options for Gateway Incentive Program, retro applications was approved, that report was approved. The reason that this has gone back and forth several times with some controversy. What I would say perhaps characterizes the event is that the Gateway Economic Zone and Center incentives is a fairly new and innovative program that the region has put in to try and build on the fact that places to grow, first of all, identify that area as an area for major potential economic growth. It's been several years of committee functioning to get the various incentives together. And I think what's happened in some municipalities, okay, whether, no finger pointing here, but I don't think it was communicated properly or fully. And so we have some people who may have gone ahead and done things unaware of the grant, or maybe not aware of how it would impact their particular development. The discussion, debate back and forth was, we don't want to get into the point of simply rewarding people for doing things they've already done. That if it's an incentive, it should be an incentive, a carrot to do something in the future tense. So we've gone back and forth on that. It's unknown as to exactly how many, in fact, potential grants will be in place. There will be tax deferment grants over a period of 10 years. But I'd say it was a very heated debate over, I'd say, probably 3 different occasions, as I recall. But that report was approved, and basically communications going on with the expediter, local planners and so on, local municipal officials, and potential recipients of these incentives. So that was the only comment I wanted to make on this particular report, but I do have another matter following any questions.
Thank you very much, Councillor Beatty. Just a follow-up, and you'll see it under the Public Health and Social Services Committee. So the committee did receive the correspondence from the town that the clerk would have provided regarding the basic income guarantee. And eventually that was approved at Regional Council, and there was a presentation, you may have heard about that, there was a presentation by the Niagara Poverty Reduction Network. So not only has this council endorsed that, but so has Regional Council, and it will lead to a discussion, or we're asking the federal government to have a discussion regarding that possibility. So I wanted to highlight that. Thank you. Any other questions for Councillor Beatty? And this week is committee week, so we look forward to your update on March 7th. We'll have a council meeting by then. And I did invite Councillor Beatty to give us a little bit of an update. He's quite excited about this and done a lot of work. Councillor Beatty?
As you are aware, your council has approved the formation of a natural transportation master plan for our community, and we very much appreciate that. For the last couple of years, we've been working on a project with members of the committee to take the map of our town.
At the top of the microphone, if you just...
That's not where it should be.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Sorry, those listening at home.
The map we are proposing will not be this size. This is a little ungainly, but it was done for the work. We've done two things. First of all, we've looked at all of the roads in Pelham and looked at them in terms of cycling friendliness. Looking at speed, looking at conditions of the road, looking at traffic flow, etc. And we've got red, our Highway 20, for example, Weber, Victoria Road being probably the least likely for safe cycling. Going to orange, which would include, we're looking at 16 Road because we see a fair amount of high-speed traffic going there as a conduit, perhaps into St. Catharines. We're looking at Canberra Road, and we're looking at Pelham Street as being orange. Yellow being mainly the conduit streets that would have a fair amount of traffic flow that would vary from one time of the day to another. For example, Hurricane Road, or the street that I live on Memorial Drive, and so on, and green, which is the predominant color for our community. What we're in the process of doing, and we're almost finished that right now, we're talking to 5 different, we'll call them experts, people who are highly involved with cycling in the community, looking at their view in terms of what is and what is not the recommendation that should go forward. That work should be completed within the next week and a half time. In addition to this map, and it's on an onion skin, so we didn't bring it, Bill Gibson on our committee has the equipment to basically go to all of our hills and determine the breadth of them and the angle of incline. We're planning to have 1, 2, or 3 chevrons to show the slope or the intensity, but having that quantitative data will be very, very valuable for cyclists. We're hoping, we've been working through the PATC, we're hoping to in fact have an attempt to have a prototype sometime ready for this spring. And with the assistance of council and staff, this material we're hoping will be translated by GIS department into a more readable map in terms of size, brought to you in terms of final format for publication. We currently believe we have sponsorship for fairly widespread distribution of this map throughout the community. When the map is produced, whether it's spring or summer of this year, the next step of it would be to look at routes of 5, 10, 25, and 50 kilometers, using this map as a guideline for the safest routes, and using perhaps our 911 signs, if we're able to do that, our hydro facility signs, or not signs, but posts, if we're able to do that, with small metallic indicators of either walking symbols or cycling symbols, and showing people the routes in our community. We think it will go a long way to improving our already good status of being a silver bicycle-friendly community. It will do much to encourage people, not only in our community, to do more active walking and cycling, but also beyond our community, seeing this is a place to come in Niagara. So, thank you for that.
Thank you very much for that. Lots of work behind it, but it's coming into its own, and it'll be forming part of that master plan, hopefully. Questions for Councillor Beatty on that initiative? Okay, thank you. We look forward to the results of that. Thanks for your great work on that.
Good.
And thanks for coming out on a snowy night. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at the Region.
Okay. I won't be here for your March meeting. I'll be in a warmer place
Oh, you won't be here. Okay. Thank you.
for the
Enjoy.
March meeting.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Okay.
So I do need a motion that be it resolved that Council receive the Regional Council report submitted by Councillor Beatty for the February 16, 2016 meeting. Councillor King will move that, and Councillor Durley will second that. Any other questions, comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. So that was King, Durley. Thank you. Thanks very much, Councillor Beatty. Appreciate it. Now we carry on with the adoption of minutes. It has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the regular meeting of Council of February 1st, 2016. Errors or omissions? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now we move to consent agenda items to be considered in block. Are there any items that members of council would like to lift for separate consideration? Councillor Kersey, you had one. Go ahead,
Actually, I
sir.
have two, Mr. Mayor. I'd
Okay.
like to lift item 10.3.2, sign variance for Pelham Art Festival, and 10.5.2, prudent investor standard resolution, AMO.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So it has been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the following consent agenda items be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. Recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting of January 25th, 2016, and the motion be it resolved that the recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting of February, I'm sorry, it says January 25th, but it says here February 1st. It should be February 1st. So when I read that out, I said January 25th. It should be for February 1st. So the recommendation is that the recommendations arising from that meeting be received and approved. We have minutes from some meetings. One is meetings of the Special Committee of the Whole from February 1st, and the second is Committee of the Whole from February 1st. We have the staff reports of routine nature or information or action. 3.1 is the drinking water annual report, and the motion be it resolved the Council of the Town of Pelham receives the annual report and the Council approves the 2015 drinking water annual report in compliance with Ontario Regulation 170/03. Councillor Kersey has lifted the sign variance report, so the next one is the sign variance report for Came and Kettle Beer Works. And the motion be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham receives a request from Mr. Todd Barber for a sign variance, and the Council approves the sign variance request to allow for a sign to be installed on the east property line of the lot with no setback. We have some action correspondence of routine nature. One from the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee, their request, and the motion be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham receives the issue summary report, Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee request, and that the Council directs staff to assist with the preparing of an application to the Ontario Senior Community Grant Program for a grant in the amount of $7,000 for the development of a communication center for seniors. Oh, then we have, we're missing, oh no, we're not here. Sorry, information correspondence items. Two items on this because one was lifted, the Alzheimer's Society of Niagara Region Appreciation, and a thank you from the Pelham Community Food Drive. Questions or comments on any of those items? Councillor Ribbiak.
Thank you. I have a question with regard to 10.4.1, the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee request. The request is for town's assistance in applying for a grant for a community center for seniors. And I'm just wondering, is that a community center potential for inclusion within?
Communication Center, but let's find out what that is.
Let's find out what that is. Thank you. Communication Center.
Madam Clerk, can you comment? This,
I read that all
there's a bit of background on this as to why, I'm going to ask the clerk to comment as why this is here, because we had minutes.
I read it wrong. I read it wrong, Mr. Mayor.
Why this is here, because we had minutes at our last meeting, Madam Clerk.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, there were minutes submitted with the last agenda in early February, but the committee actually needed a specific resolution to allow them to make this application. Through you, respectfully, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Papp does sit on that committee, so he may be able to enlighten you on the purpose.
Councillor Papp, can you enlighten Councillor Ribbiak? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
The intent of the committee is to submit for this grant to allow them to develop a protocol to communicate any seniors-related issues throughout the community. It can be through a variety of different sources, whether it's through social media, printed, etc., and to constantly inform our local seniors groups about what is available in the way of services, building on the community forums that they had in the past. So this money would act as seed money and set the basis for that platform for the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
don't know
Mayor.
if we're going to be successful, but
No, of course not. But it's a laudable goal, and I apologize that I misread the report. For some reason, I just read community center and
That's fine.
it raised the
Good,
question.
Good to get it out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say you had 2 items? No, just one?
Just one.
Okay. Other items? Couple of items I just want to talk about. The first is the Drinking Water Annual Report. Congratulations to staff on that. The director and I have had some discussions, and Ms. Clemencio thinks that council may benefit from a little bit of a training program. I understand that it's something that council periodically has to do in terms of understanding the system and our responsibilities, etc. So we're working together to put together a timing to do that type of training. It may come in March. We'll see. So that's what we're working on. It may be linked up with the planning meeting if it's a late agenda in March, is what we're thinking. So, what was the other one? Oh, the other was, and I believe it's one of the minutes here of the meetings. We had that special committee of the whole in that, and I thought that some councillors had some questions about the communication piece on that. And I think this would be the time to do that. Councillor Rybak, you expressed some interest to me prior to the meeting. Can you raise it now, please?
Yes, and I apologize that I didn't catch that moment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that the time is coming fast for the town to, either through us or as staff, to put out a really comprehensive, complete, thorough, accurate reflection of where we are with respect to the community center. I think that we are suffering a little bit from the fact that all of our discussions in the past having been in the open and completely transparent to all. Not all the information, however, has been gathered into one spot, so people kind of remember something from here or from there, or put those things together, and
Long time, yeah, through the years.
And maybe 1 and 1 don't equal 2 sometimes, and as people consider those the various items. So I think putting that together is really quite important. I think that it's getting necessary because I think that there's a great deal of interest in the town with respect to where the community center is going, and so an accurate information piece, I think, is really necessary. And I know we're working on it, but I think that it really needs to come out. And I think that with that should come probably the opportunity of people within the community who have an interest in our community center. And I know that there is a critical mass of people within the community who want it, to be able to articulate that in response to a communication piece like that. And I think that that's going to be really necessary as well. To this point, I would say that the amount of press that the community center has gotten has been more negative than positive, because people are concerned about what the implications of it are. And I think that there are a lot of people in the town who understand what a community center will provide positively, and will want to speak to that once that they have that information. So I think both those need to happen. Number one, that communication piece needs to be out there, and number two, I think the community also needs to find it within themselves to express exactly what they want with respect to an outcome.
Okay, thank you. So I will ask the CAO to, he and I have had the discussion about some timing for this. Mr. CAO, can you give us an indication of sort of what you're recommending as a go forward to bring something to council and then to the community?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the staff is still working to finalize key pieces of information with regards to the community center, namely the design, some cross sections, as well as revised or updated costing, if you will. It's our intention to have that final information to council for the 21st of March. However, I would suggest that we will have a separate communications strategy or communications plan, if you will, with regards to the community center to council for the March 7th council meeting. So that will give you, I think, a comprehensive communications plan. And then once there's some additional details, then that can be rolled out, near the end of March. be all part of that community consultation or community information that council's going to be desirous of getting to the community.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ribbiak?
Thank you. It's good to know that, and look forward to it. Can't come soon enough. I think that there's a vacuum out there that needs to be filled, and this is going to have to fill it.
Okay, thank you. So it'll be an opportunity, colleagues, for council staff have worked on what that communication might look like, the involvement of the community in that, and they want to present that to us on the 7th of March for our feedback, so that then there's enough time to go and formulate what that will look like. So I would ask colleagues to think about, do you want to suggest that we go to service clubs or to this event or that event, or have an open house, or whatever that might look like in different parts of the community, etc. And likely that will form part of the presentation that's going to be presented to council on the 7th of March, that we would then approve, hopefully, make some recommendations, and then staff would go and execute it, so that we'd be in the position to answer all the questions from the community. It sounds like after the 21st of March is the timeline that staff are working on.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Durley, to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just citing back to the minutes of the special committee of the whole meeting, which was attended by a cross-section of the community, actually, right from the arts sector to the basketball sector to the service club sector. There were no fewer than 7 excellent thoughts brought forward in a fact-finding mission to see the actual benefits that the community will derive from that. And certainly, I think a big part of that communication plan needs to highlight the feelings of these folks. And as I mentioned before, it was a cross section. It was no specific group. It was nobody with a personal agenda.
Sorry, excuse
Bless you, Nancy. Bless you. It was definitely a very productive evening, and there was a lot of excellent facts that came out. So this should be the center of it, and I think that once this comes out, I think a lot of misconceptions out there will be cleared right up, and I think the community will see the benefits that can be derived from such an endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Anyone else to that issue? The final piece of information, I just want to update Council. I have been in communications with the MP for Niagara Centre, Mr. Badaway, and have informed him of what we have in mind, and he's asked for additional information, which we are in the middle of providing. Also, been in communications with the MP for St. Catharines area, so an update of all the things going on in Pelham, etc. One of them will obviously be this potential project. And I spoke with Minister Bradley a couple of weeks ago, and we're trying to settle down a time frame to meet with him as well to update initiatives in Pelham, and this being one of them. So I'm very hopeful with some of the things coming out of the federal government in terms of looking for shovel-ready projects. And I think we will be in a position, my understanding is that we'll be in that kind of position of time frame, so this will all work together. So those are the kind of the key messages that we're going to be presenting to those representatives. Anything further on that issue? Okay. One other item, and I believe this was under the committee, council minutes maybe, and that was the budget. So we did approve the budget, and the treasurer, Madam Treasurer, you did provide an update to council. That was just via email, or what should it? What the final number was? Could you please just give us a quick update on the negotiations, discussions with the library, and how that finally settled in? Thank you.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I had discussions with the CAO of the library regarding the 2-month and additional 28 hours or 14 hours a week of service to the community. And we finalized the numbers. We made sure that that was at the 1.13 or 1.3% increase, the COLA adjustment that was similar to the town. The amount then added up to 35.75. It has been added to the budget. A revised budget has been sent to all of council and has also been placed on the website. The actual increase now is 7.86% instead of the 7.83. And the increase overall on the overall assessment is 107.44 over the 106. I don't remember the exact cents on that one, but so a minimal increase. But it was indicated to the CEO that this was grant funding in addition to the original amount, only if the Maple Acres addition opened in November, and that it would be prorated for any portion that was less than that.
Okay, thank you very much. And the final is, have we heard anything from education on the amount? Because the number we're looking at is sort of a 2.9% blended rate, 2.9, 2.8.
Yes, we're looking daily. We've not heard anything, and I know that the area treasurers are going back and forth on it too, and not one of them has heard anything yet.
Okay.
So we do check the e-bulletins every day through the province, and that's usually where we find it first, but we have not heard anything yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any questions for the treasurer on that matter? Thank you very much for that update. Now we're ready for calling of the question. I'm going to call the question on those consent agenda items. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Kersey, you lifted a couple of items. The first was a signed variance report for Pelham Art Festival. Go ahead,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I certainly support the signed variance and have supported it in the years past. I'd like to make an amendment. I get frustrated by the fact that we continually see these things coming forward every year, and we've been talking around about having staff be given the authority to do these variances without bringing them to council, provided they meet a certain criteria. So in an effort to try and do something about that, I was going to propose an amendment that council grant the variance for years 2017 and 2018 if required by the Pelham Art Festival, and that the Pelham Art Festival would continue to furnish the support documents for staff review prior to the event. That way, they would have the variance for the next 3 years, or this year and 2 additional years. And as long as they provide the support documents, it doesn't have to appear before council. And it's a worthwhile event. They have contributed greatly to the quality of life in our community and to the culture in our community. And I think that would be a great way to show our support.
Okay, thank you. So that's in addition to the recommendation that was
That
there?
is correct.
Okay.
So the motion would read, I just
We
read the
approve it
last
for,
line.
we approve it for 2016 and the dates that are prescribed.
And further, that council grant this variance for 2017 and 18 if required by the Pelham Art Festival. The Pelham Art Festival will furnish support documents to staff in advance of the event annually.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor King, thank you. Thanks very much. We have, you're right, we have talked about it a lot. Other comments, questions? Thank you very much. I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? That amendment carries. Now to the main motion as amended. We look forward to the Art Festival and seeing those signs up for the next 3 years. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried as amended. Thank you very much, Councillor Kersey, for raising that, for councils for supporting it. And Councillor, you lifted another item, and that's regarding the Prudent Investor Standard Resolution from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario.
I did,
The
Mr.
motion
Mayor.
original motion was just to receive. What would you like to do or suggest?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to, in the original circulation, all we got was the letter, but I think our clerk has subsequently actually attached the motion that was circulated. It's fairly lengthy and involved, but I'd like to support and endorse that motion. I think it speaks to the fact that not only Toronto needs to have adequate sources of revenue, so does the rest of Ontario. And having a prudent investor standard would open doors to communities to be able to pursue other types of investments other than a very strict protocol as outlined within the Municipal Act. So that's why I would like to see this council support and endorse. So
Okay.
that would be my amendment to the motion.
All right, thank you very much. And Councillor Papp, you'll second that amendment? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Discussion to the amendment that we do support and endorse. It's funny, Councillor Kersey, I appreciate you raising this because you did talk about it when I think we were going through the budget. What are the options for investing? The treasurer indicated to you that they were quite tight, and then this motion came across that they're seeking for, not only for the City of Toronto, but for all of Ontario to have this option. So thank you very much for raising it. Councillor Ribbiak, you had a comment as well?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But thank you for
I
asking.
saw your hand up, so.
And I was half thinking of one, but I think I understand the situation better. I'm fine.
that down.
I'm good.
Councillor Papp's going to write that down. Anyone further on that? Going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? That amendment carries. And now to the main motion as amended. Anything to write down on this one? I'm going to call the question as amended. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for raising those, Councillor. And I believe that's the completion of our consent agenda items. Thank you. Now we move to reports from members of council. We do have my report, and as mentioned, I'm sorry. Thank you. Doing some homework here. Sorry, we had to support that resolution. The clerk had it all typed up for us, so thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Just quickly to my report. So Fenwick Flossie came out, as she always does, on February 2nd to the cheering. It must have been 300 kids cheering away. It was wonderful to wake up Flossie from her hibernation. At that point, there wasn't a lot of snow, and Flossie, in her wisdom, saw her shadow and went back into her burrow, meaning 6 more weeks of winter, like we've been having, although I think she got that wrong this past weekend. But very impressed with certainly the fabulous Fenwick Lions for assisting Flossie coming out of her burrow in that event, and great to see all the school children there at Centennial Park. And Flossie, before she went back in her burrow, did visit some residents of extended care unit in Welland, so that was nice to see as well. So we wish her all the best as she's continuing to hibernate through this weather. An item that we added, so to form part of the minutes, is had a great visit from the kindergarten class at St. Alexander School. Miss Clara's kindergarten class for visiting here in the chamber and learning about local governments. Students get a kick out of sitting in your chairs, counselors, and in the staff chairs, and have a little bit of a mock meeting. So at each spot, I think I've relayed to you, we put a hard hat in here for the director. It was a pink hard hat, but for the director of Public Works, and we have a baseball and a mitten and all that kind of things, and different items for different, monopoly money for the treasurer, and planning documents for the for the director of planning and bylaw. We have a button here for the CAO that says, "Don't just stand there, do something." And then we have each of the councillors' spot. We have a little vote card, so they know who votes and makes decisions, and the big, thick municipal act for the clerk. Anyways, they have a great time in the council chamber and look forward to doing that again. They did make a presentation to council, so that will be attached to the minutes. You'll see that. The other item is, along with Councillor Ribbiak and the airport manager, Dave Devine, we had the pleasure of participating in a meeting with other mayors and councillors regarding the region's portion, a review of airports of the Niagara region. Essentially, their timeline is, they said pretty quick. I think it's June is the time that they want to come forward with some recommendations. They are looking at different options. I was pleased to see, and maybe Councillor Ribbiak can comment on this as well as representative on that commission, but I was pleased to see that they seem to do understand that the two airports, the district and the Niagara Central Dorothy Runzling Airport, let's call it Dorothy's Airport, do work in tandem and are complementary of each other. So it was great to see that, and we'll see what the results of that would be. Couple of just another great news story, and then if Councillor Ribbiak wants to add anything on the airports. Congratulations to Dorothy and Harold Haste. They celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary on the 6th of February. And it was wonderful, great event, lots of friends and family there, and that was held at Lookout Ridge. So congratulations to them, and I had the honor of presenting on your behalf a congratulatory plaque to them. And as well, I had the pleasure of presenting a Duke of Edinburgh Bronze Award to Warrant Officer Hybers for his work. And the Duke of Ed Award has been something that the cadets have been doing for a little bit, so congratulations to him on that. Councillor Rybak, would you like to add anything in terms of the airport review?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming to that meeting. Our CAO was there as well, as were mayors and CAOs of the other municipalities that are stakeholders in the airport, as well as the regional chair and the regional CAO. So it was a lot of horsepower at that meeting. You're right. There seemed to be a great deal of understanding that both airports work together as a unit. But I was also impressed with the extent of understanding that there is real value in the airport, that there is a positive economic impact that's important to maintain, and the prospect of making a decision that might impact on that was clearly understood. So I was quite pleased at the outcome, and I was pleased as well with the timetable that they were proposing.
Thank you very much for the update. We look forward to that, and we'll keep council updated on that progress. Are there any questions on my report? There being none, so it has been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Junkin. Be it resolved, the council receive the mayor's report of February 16th, 2016 for information. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, colleagues. Now we move to bylaws. And we have a few bylaws. It has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, third time and pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. Bylaw number 3709, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 1136, as amended for lands located south of Foss Road and west of Effingham Street, 330 Foss Road, legally described as part lot 6, concession 11, from agricultural A zone to a site-specific agricultural zone A260. Wayne S. Lebo, trustee, file number AM0615. The second, bylaw 3710, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 1136, is amended for lands located north of Chandler Road and west of Effingham Street, 311 Chandler Road, legally described as parts lots 6 and 7, concession 12, from agricultural A zone to site-specific agricultural zone A261. Peter, John, and Alice Spiker, file number AM0815. Bylaw 3711, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 1136, as amended for lands located south of Highway 20, east and west of Rice Road, 130 Highway 20 East, part lots 161 and 166, Plan 717, legally described as part lots 161 and 166, part of road allowance between lots 161 and 166, Town of Pelham, and part of lots 166 and 167, part of lot 3, Plan 717, from East Fonthill Open Space, EFOS Zone, to East Fonthill Mixed Use Zone 1, EFMU1 Zone, and being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 3543, which was passed in 2014, Fonthill Gardens, Inc., file number AM1015. Bylaw 3712, being a bylaw to endorse the clerk of the Town of Pelham or designate to solemnize civic marriages and to establish a fee for service. Bylaw 3713, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a cost-sharing agreement between the corporation of the Town of Pelham and River Realty Development, 1976, Inc., for the cost-sharing related to the construction of roadways, sewers, stormwater facilities, and other services that are in excess of the standard requirements within the River Estates subdivision in the East Fawn Hill neighborhood, and for the application of credits for the construction of such services that are in excess of the standard requirements as outlined in the agreement attached therein, forming part of the bylaw. Questions or comments on any of those bylaws? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Councillor Durley, did you want to read this out, or did you want me to read it out, the notice of motion?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So it has been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, whereas the Greater Niagara Circle route has been completed and used for active transportation purposes in the eastern section of Niagara region for several years, and whereas active transportation has been recognized as a means to promote a healthy lifestyle, and whereas active transportation needs to be promoted to all communities in the Niagara region, and whereas the Steve Bauer Trail, located in the town of Pelham, is a well-established trail system which promotes active and healthy lifestyle, and whereas the town of Pelham has been recognized as a bike-friendly and walkable community which offers the facility for active transportation, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Pelham petition the Niagara Region and the Greater Niagara Circle Route Committee to assist in the establishment of a link from the Circle Route to the Steve Bauer Trail in order to expand the opportunities for communities to enjoy benefits of outdoor living, exercise, and healthy lifestyle, and to offer opportunities for other communities in the western section of the region to also link into the Circle Route, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Regional Municipality of Niagara and the local area municipalities requesting support. So, Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did sit on this committee for a number of years, and more than once asked that there's consideration to be given in this regard. It was taken with a grain of salt, unfortunately, at the time, and there was some opposition from a neighboring municipality. Hearing Councillor Beatty's report today on their consideration of bicycle-friendly streets and all that in Pelham, I think that's a good move in the right direction for that, and I think this resolution going to there will, I think, reinforce in the region's mind and in the Greater Niagara Circle Route Committee's mind that we're serious about that, and we do have the opportunities here. All we need is a link, and instead of doing the 2 or 3 day trip through the Circle route as it now exists, they can do a 3 or 4 day route if they add in just what we have to offer as well. So encouraging the region and the Circle Route Committee to take us seriously, and in fact, if we could do this link through the Thorold Railway link to our Steve Bauer Trail, which is a logical link, that could be a good start, and I know we could go to the west to Waynfleet and to Lincoln and West Lincoln. So I think it's a good start, and I hope they take it seriously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor King, would you like to add anything? You seconded the motion.
Yes, I did second the motion. Sort of to piggyback on what Councillor Durley has referred to as well, we saw tonight an example of the work that is being done by the Active Transportation Committee, excuse me, that enhances cycling opportunities and supports a healthy lifestyle, not only in Pelham, but throughout the region, and supporting this motion really ties it together. I guess the other example of the Active Transportation Committee that comes to mind in supporting this is the fact that they have recently, that committee has recently looked into what bylaws exist that within the town itself that would prevent cyclists who want to do a 3 and 4 day cycling trip within the region from parking in our municipal lots. So there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other councillors to the motion? Councillor Papp.
Well, I couldn't endorse it more wholeheartedly, and just to add strength to your motion, both Rotary clubs of Fonthill and Welland are looking at ways in which to improve the Steve Bauer Trail. So we will definitely, if you can send that to us, we will send a letter to the region also endorsing the fact that there are service clubs that would like to see that extension occur, and that would include some physical enhancements along that way.
Thank you very much. Can we Madam Clerk, can you, as direction, to send that to the Rotary clubs?
Up Fonthill and Welland.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. Any other comments? I certainly appreciate Councillor Durley for bringing it forward, and we did talk about it at our last meeting, so thank you very much for putting the motion together. I did have an opportunity to speak to Councillor Petroshenko, who's from the city of Welland, who's a very, very avid cyclist and supporter of active transportation. He was quite keen to know that this motion would be coming forward to their council, and his work on the Active Transportation Committee at the region, and he definitely wants to promote it. And they are, I understand, doing some work on their portion of the trail, and they do want to link in with the Thorold portion of the trail. So he was quite excited about this, Councillor Durley, so thank you very much for putting it forward, and hopefully it will continue to continue on and pay some dividends. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you again. Now, we do have an in-camera portion for our meeting, and as is our custom, we'll recess that until after committee. So it has been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Junkin. Be it resolved, the council recess the in-camera portion of the meeting and reconvene immediately following the policy and priorities meeting scheduled for this evening. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Let's take a couple-minute break before we start P&P. Thank you.